Let's turn our attention to the country's courts now, and Senzo Meyiwa's longtime friend Tumelo Madlala is continuing his testimony this morning in the trial of 5 men accused of killing the soccer star. Madlala was in the house when Meyiwa was shot in October 2014. Let's head back to the courts now. Slindelo Masikane covering it for us once again today. Hello to you, Sliso. A very dramatic day yesterday, going through a lot of detail from inside the house and photos being shown as well as far as the third witness is concerned. Lots of details coming out yesterday, but also quite emotional.
Quite emotional, Gareth, like you say, quite dramatic, chaotic in the beginning as well, with that media scuffle to try and get to Tumelo before he got to the witness box. But of course, we finally saw Tumelo Madlala, that we know is Senzo Meyiwa's best friend. They grew up together, and he was there on that fateful evening on the 26th of October 2014. He, along with 6 other people in the house, witnessed exactly what took place in terms of what they say were 2 perpetrators who entered the home. In the beginning of his testimony, he just took us through the background of how he knew Senzo and how they grew up. And just after lunch, that is when we started to see more detail around what really transpired when they got to Nomzamo Street in Vosloorus, where they seemingly were enjoying a Sunday lunch. They were drinking alcohol, seemingly just enjoying each other's company. We understand Longwe Twala, who was Zandi Kumalo's boyfriend at the time, also arrived a little bit after Senzo, as well as Kelly, Tumelo and Mtogo, who were traveling in one car. And of course, we know that Kelly Kumalo's mother, Gladness, was also in that home. Tumelo then took us through the processes, or what transpired just before the shooting. He says they were all seated in the lounge, and that is when the first intruder, describing him as someone who was short in stature, had big eyes and dreadlocks and spoke isiZulu, that person entered the home. At this point, it's still unclear because he wasn't sure whether both perpetrators had a gun, but he says that the first perpetrator who entered the home demanded cell phones as well as money. Let's take a listen.
The person that came in was carrying a firearm and he had dreadlocks.
Yes?
Yeah.
I took a jacket. I'm not sure, caramel or brown, but I did the skin and Jumbala jacket.
Okay. This person was wearing a jacket. I am not certain whether it was caramel, it was fit. This person was wearing a jacket. I don't know whether it's caramel, whether it's brown. Desk. Yep.
Caramel or brown, but I'm not sure about the color. But caramel brown.
It's either it's caramel or it's brown. It's just that I'm not certain about the color. He was wearing a hat. Person was shot.
Yes.
With big eyes.
Yes. What other description can you give? Is it all?
That's what I can recall. That person didn't say a lot of things, required phones from us and money.
All right, so Slee, that's how we now understand, according to this witness, how these criminals got into the house. Let's talk about what Tumelo had to say about how Senzo himself was shot.
So, of course, he continued with his evidence-in-chief being led by State Prosecutor George Baloy, where we now know, of course, that there were 2 perpetrators who entered. The second perpetrator, he says, was a little bit taller than the first one. And this perpetrator, we understand, Senzo had pinned against the wall. Tumelo says that he also punched that perpetrator while Kelukumalo, her mother, Zandi, basically used his crutches, Tumelo Madlala's crutches, to also assault the first intruder. At this point, we understand that Longo Twala had pushed the first perpetrator and made his way out of the house. Let's take a listen to Tumelo Madlala in terms of what proceeded after Senzo pinned that second perpetrator against the wall.
Okay. Upon arriving, when I got there and I saw Senzo pressing this person against the wall, then when I got there, I hit him with a fist. I think it's Bagela.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, ma.
Where did you hit him?
Umshaya kuphi ndawo?
Ngamshaya.
Awujike.
Ngamshaya.
Imayibamba uchacha zokubona ujike uzonenzela uchacha ukuthi abone.
Yes.
The witness pointing to the left side of the face. Is ujike uchacha kabona. The left side of the face, mother.
Yes.
Yes, you may proceed.
Then after loco,
Thereafter, whilst this person was there, held by Senzo against the wall, and I hit the person with a fist, that's when a shot went off.
All right, so that was yesterday. I'm sure we're going to expect a lot more come 10 o'clock this morning, Slee.
Certainly so. We expect Tumelo Madlala back in the witness box, where he will continue being led with his evidence in chief, and at some point, Gareth, we are expecting, of course, that cross-examination will then begin by the defense for accused 125. But of course, we will be bringing you those visuals live as soon as they begin here on DSTV 403 at 10 o'clock.
That's right. You can also follow Slindelo Masikane on Twitter as well. You can live stream it. You can also see it, of course, here, as she says, on DSTV 403 and on Twitter. Go look for Slindelo Masikane.